Hello, everyone. Welcome back to This is a Woman podcast. I am your host, Sophia Laurie. And unfortunately, I am back with another story of males in female athletics. This time it's at a junior college in California. Santa Rosa Junior College volleyball team has a male on the women's team. And let's check out a team photo. Now, look at the photo and can you take a guess at which one the male is? And you're going to know, you can tell, it's very obvious who the male is on this team. And so if you're listening on a podcast platform, definitely head to our YouTube page, This Is One Podcast, or to Sophia S. Laurie on X to be able to see the video. But luckily, there has been three amazing girls that have spoken out against this. We have Madison and Gracie Shaw, and we have Brielle Gali. They've all spoken out against this. And so today we're actually going to have Madison and Gracie Shaw, the two sisters, on this episode, sharing with you how they found out there was a male on this team, how this has played out, the situation in the locker room, what they've done to push back, whether or not their athletic director and their coach has supported them through it, and the unfortunate situation that's playing out because of them taking this bold stand. They are amazing. I am so excited for you guys to hear from them, hear their story, to recognize what is still happening across the state of California and across the nation of males invading girls' sports and spaces. We see it from the 8th grade PE locker room level. Go check out that episode. I believe is 2 episodes ago. We're seeing it happen at the high school level. We're seeing it happen to the Division I level at San Jose State, and we're seeing it at the junior college level at Santa Rosa Junior College. So with that, let's dive into this episode. Madison and Gracie, welcome to This is a Woman podcast. We are so excited to have you here. And the listeners got a little rundown about your story, what you're facing and enduring right now. But before we dive into all of the details of that, I think once women get to the point of playing collegiate sports, there's a story behind it. There's a reason. You have to work hard and want to get to that point. So Madison, what brought you to volleyball and sports, and what does it mean to you?
Well, Sophia, I've been playing volleyball since I was in 6th grade. My mom was the coach. I immediately loved the sport. It was something that I really learned like how to build life lessons and life skills like teamwork, leadership, perseverance, integrity. All these things really have shaped who I am as a person. And I feel like without sports, that wouldn't have happened. I also did track in high school. And so that was also a major outlet into competing and just really having that sense of freedom and being able to have all these opportunities that I can do through sports. And it's been a great experience so far.
Yeah, I love that. And like you said, a lot of opportunities do come from that. One of them being college to help whether pay for it, to help whether you're trying to advance your career. But like you said, you started in 6th grade. Like I played college soccer. And for me, once I was in about junior high, I knew my dream was to play college soccer. And so I think it's important for people to recognize when when women are college athletes, it's not something that they just decided to do one day. It's been something that you've dedicated your entire life to. And Gracie, how about yourself? What got you into volleyball?
My story is a little similar to Madison's. I also started volleyball when I was in 6th grade. I played through middle school. My mom was the coach, and I also played club volleyball. And I made so many friends. I learned so many valuable life skills through volleyball, hard work, how to persevere through hard times, and it kind of has just been an outlet of where I can let whatever's happening that day, let it go and just have fun and play volleyball with people that I love to be around.
Yeah, that's something I've talked with a lot of people about, this whole thing of when school is hard, drama with friends, whatever's going on in life, sports are our outlet. We get to go, and whether the practice is an hour or 6 hours long, it's like we get to forget about everything else going on in the world to then just focus on our sport, doing the thing we love. But unfortunately, that has changed for a lot of girls, especially here in California. It's changed for the both of you. And so, Madison, walk us through what you started experiencing at Santa Rosa Junior College.
Yeah, of course. went on as a freshman. I was going to the JC and I talked to the coach, was interested in playing volleyball, and ended up being a starting outside hitter. I played all 6 rotations. It was honestly one of the best volleyball seasons I've ever had. The only downfall was that we had a male athlete that I came to know, not prior to being on the team. But I figured out that there was a male athlete on our team and was a redshirt, so only practiced with us. And that was really startling to me because I didn't know how to go about this. I'm not one for confrontation, but I knew that this was wrong and that I couldn't stand by this any longer. And I knew that by the next season, this athlete would be a part of our team going to games. And I realized that there's a lot that we can lose from saying, "Hey, this is wrong," or "We're not gonna stand for this." And I knew that, but I was willing to sacrifice ending my career early for volleyball just because I knew that this is wrong and that there's so many detrimental things that can happen by having a male athlete on the team. I mean, I was worried about my safety, my teammates, other female athletes' safety when that male athlete's on the court. We've already had so many injuries from other teams and from these athletes. And in volleyball in particular, we've already had a concussion caused by this athlete. And who goes to say more serious head injuries and severity of that, like Peyton McNabb? I mean, we really need to be preventing this and standing up for what is right. I felt my privacy was also being violated. Second, that male athlete stepped foot in the locker room, it was pretty much all out to the open. For our instance, this athlete wasn't even changing in our locker room. This athlete was just in the same vicinity, observing, having conversations. So that almost was worse to me. That's just wrong. If you're not willing to even change and use the locker room for its purposes, why is a male athlete even having to be in there? And I just felt my voice wasn't being heard. I was not being respected by the school or the league. And so I decided to step away until they realized this is wrong and that we should not be having a male athlete on the team.
Just hearing you share this one, it breaks my heart. I am heartbroken that this is what the two of you have had to experience. That this is what is some people are trying to pretend like is the new norm for girls in sports and in locker rooms. And I'm grateful for you two for saying, no, this isn't the new norm. We're not going to let this happen. We're going to push against it. And so I really want to dive into the safety aspect more so in the locker room and everything like that. But Madison, again, you were there before Gracie was there. And so this was kind of playing out. Did your school come to you and say, hey, there's this male that's on the team? I mean, when you see the pictures, and we'll throw the picture up on the screen so people can see it as well, but it's very evident with your own eyes that it's a male. But did the school just kind of let you show up to practice one day and there was a male there? Or did they give you any heads up? Or how did that play out, Matt?
Yeah, there was no heads up or warning about a male being on our team. I started out in the summer. We had summer training for grass volleyball. And so that was an open class. Anyone could take the class. And so I didn't really know who was a part of the team and who wasn't until we had our weight sessions for the specific team members that were going to be on the team. And so that's when I realized there's a male athlete. I had no warning about it. I verbally committed saying I'm going to be on the team. I've already put in time and effort going to every practice. And I was like, okay, well, this should have been to my knowledge that there was going to be a male athlete before I made any decision. But I continued to finish out the season because it gave me a sense of peace that at least the athlete was only a practice player. We were not competing with the male athlete, but I knew it was going to be something I'd have to speak up about for the next upcoming season.
I think that also really goes to show that a lot of the times the adults in the room, the people in charge, are not doing much and are just allowing this to happen because if they wanted to make a stand or at least give you guys a heads up of, hey, this is what the school's doing. I don't agree with it. Just so you know, there is a male that is also committed to play here. So if you want to commit somewhere else, if you want to go somewhere else, and they're not willing to these coaches aren't willing to necessarily put their job on the line to protect girls. And that's how we're seeing this play out. And touching on safety, Madison, you were saying that you watched another player get injured. We're talking about even Peyton McNabb, like you said, she had so many things go wrong because a male athlete spiked a ball in her face when she was in high school. And Gracie, you then joined the team. The male athlete on your guys' team is now officially playing. He's no longer redshirt. You've mentioned before that you were also hit in the face with a ball that he spiked down. Can you walk us through that and the risk of safety in those situations?
I was at practice and I'm a defensive player, so I was playing back row. And this male athlete is a middle, so hitting. And I was aware that this male athlete was about to hit the ball. I was set up and ready to pass, but the ball just came so fast at my face that I couldn't protect myself and I didn't have time to even think. And that just kind of shows how when the male athlete connects with the ball, it's just so much faster than when any other female athlete hits and any other female athlete that is on our volleyball team. And it also shows the biological advantages that male athletes do have. They're born bigger, stronger, faster, bigger skeletal structure. And even with taking testosterone depressants, that doesn't take away any physical advantage that a male athlete has and shows why there should be two different sports teams.
That's what people that maybe are on the opposite side of this issue, which praise the Lord, I think is at a lower number day by day because of women and girls like you speaking out. But some people would say, well, this male's maybe been taking hormones and this and that. Nothing can change these biological differences. The fact that males are stronger, they do have a larger muscle mass and things as such. And so, Gracie, with that, we have male volleyball and we have female volleyball. We have these two different options for volleyball. It's not like there's not a volleyball team for a man to go play on, but I played volleyball. I played club volleyball myself when I was younger, and there are differences between men and women's volleyball. And so, Gracie, can you touch on maybe what some of those differences are that prove that they have a biological advantage?
Yeah, a men's volleyball net is 5 inches around higher than a women's volleyball net. And some would argue that, well, there's co-ed volleyball teams and people don't have a problem with that. And well, the difference there is that the men have different rules and regulations, such as they can't jump in front of the 10-foot line. So they're not hitting up on the net. While our male athlete is jumping and spiking the ball at the net, which is going to come way faster at the defensive player is on the court. And it's just so wrong. But like when we played grass volleyball over the summer, men weren't able to block the females that were on the other side of the net for obvious reasons, the physical advantage of being taller and being able to jump higher. So it just shows how there is different rules for men for a reason.
Absolutely. And like you said, we see that also in track and field. We see it in so many different sports where in track and field, males have to get a faster speed to continue on into the finals. We see with volleyball the difference of net. And so, Madison, this is all happening. This is playing out. You guys decide no more alongside one of your teammates, Brielle. And what do you decide to do? Or do you reach out to your coach and say, I don't like this? How did that start to play out?
So last year in the spring, I was talking to my parents and I was like, I really do not feel comfortable being on a team with a male athlete. I think it's wrong. I think it's taking away our opportunities as female athletes. And there's just so many factors that were going into it. And the more that I was practicing with the male athlete, the more I was like, I need to take a stand. I need to talk to my athletic director. And so he's always had open doors for any of the athletes to come in and talk to him. So when I went and talked to him, he had already known about this situation. He said that this has been a conversation that he's been having with our coach for months now. And so they were aware of the situation. And he said that there was going to be meetings about what the policies that our school was going to be upholding. Because currently their policy was that if a male athlete was taking testosterone depressants for over a year signed by a doctor, that they'd be eligible to play on a women's team. And I told them that if that's the case, I will not be taking the court. I will be stepping away from the time being until this male athlete is removed. I then told my coach, we let her know, we gave her the fill in on how we were feeling, how this was affecting us. And overall, there wasn't a lot of support from our coach, which I was very sad about. I felt like all of the things that we were talking about with our coach, she reflected it back onto her situation. how this is really affecting her mental health too, not knowing whether we're playing or not, and how we're hurting the team dynamic, and all these things threatening our starting positions that we've had. I just felt like these were all ways and tactics for her to think maybe these saying these things will make them stand down and just comply. And that made me feel I was being silenced, honestly. I felt like I was not being heard. And so when we went into this, we decided, okay, we're going to file this complaint because obviously our school is not hearing us out.
We reached out to our athletic director and our coaches and communicated way before our scrimmages even started because we wanted there to be change before our season started when we were playing in games. When Allie, our coach, also was trying to shut down a meeting that we had with our coach or with our teammates because we wanted to tell them, or she told us actually, that we needed to explain why we weren't going to be participating or being at one of our scrimmages. And we were prepared to do so. But the next morning, Madison was then told that we needed to be quiet and not say anything to our team because there's really some privacy concerns. So we then later wanted to have a meeting still anyways because we felt that they deserved to know. So we tried to set up a Zoom, but then that was shut down by our team captains. And we were told that we couldn't have a meeting unless there was school representatives such as like an athletic director, our Title IX coordinator. And then our coach, and that was supposed to be planned to be had before our weight session at 8:30 in the morning. And then that night, ironically, our coach canceled the weight session completely and said, there's no more weights. We're not going to be having that anymore. And that was not a very usual thing to happen, especially at 10 o'clock at night before the weight session that was at 8:30 in the morning. And that just shows how we were being silenced and what we had to say wasn't going to be very important. And when we did have our official meeting, our coach insisted to have the link and told the team, this is not mandatory. Nobody needs to come. But if you would like to, you can. And that again showed that what we had to say didn't seem to be very important to her.
I just want the people listening to really recognize that there is a male athlete that is on your team that is in the locker room watching you guys change, putting you at safety risks while you're on the field, on the court. And when you say you're upset with it, when you say we don't want to deal with this, when you say no more, the adults in the room are shutting that down. And like you said, canceling weights for the people that are listening that like didn't play college sports, that is rare. All 4 years of college soccer, I think weights got canceled maybe 3 times. And yeah, never 10 at night. We would be told to practice the day before. Hey, no weights tomorrow. We're going to do this. And we would like cry tears of joy that we finally got a day to sleep in. And the fact that she canceled weights the morning that you guys were going to share this, it's very clear why that happened. Really insane. We've hit a time in culture where they're going to suppress your speech because you're saying you don't want to play on a team with a male athlete. You don't want to be injured. You don't want to have a male watch you change. It's really disappointing that's where we're at, but it's important for you guys to continue to share this story because people need to know. People need to see that it's not as easy as just saying, I don't want this, and everyone's saying, okay, fine, we won't make it happen. Like, they're going to push back. They're going to continue to suppress your speech on this. And so you're going through this. What is the vibe of the team? Because when you're on a team together, you're close with some of the girls. You know, some of them are like some of your best friends. Others you're still friends with. There was you two and Brielle that have spoken out, but were other girls kind of whispers behind the scenes of, yeah, this isn't okay? Or did you three feel like you were kind of the only ones? Madison.
I was still participating on the team. There were these two. One was a transfer from an NAI school, and then another was a freshman, and they both agreed with us. They totally were in support. They felt it was wrong, and they also expressed their concerns about being uncomfortable in the locker room. And they confided in us to tell us that. And they were really kind of on the fence whether they should speak out and say anything either. Ultimately, it was just nice to know that they had our support. They were behind us on this, even though they were going to continue to play. And then later on, after I've stepped away from the team, Gracie has more experience on what really went on with the team dynamic after that.
And so, Gracie, on that, you said, Madison, you stepped away from the team. You said, I'm done. I'm not doing this. Gracie, you decided to stay, but there's been video clips going around of you sitting during games and things like that. Walk us through why you decided to stay, what that looked like, and what the dynamic of the team was turning to.
Yeah, of course. I decided that I wanted to stay on the team because I wanted to show my coach that I am going to be there. I am going to show up and put in as much as work as anyone else on this team and that I should be playing. I was told that I would have a starting position, but I didn't want to take the court if a male athlete was on the team, and the coach chose to keep the male athlete on the team and have me on the sideline. And that just shows how the females are not being heard and listened to, and the male athlete is the one that is being more supported. And that is really not how it should be. It should be the other way around. In the beginning of the season, I would say we got along with everyone on the team so well. I was really excited. I was making new friends. Like Madison said, there was even two girls that were in support of what we were doing. But once the media came out about what was going on and stories and articles were coming out, I was getting dirty looks about, like, literally for no reason. I would walk by, they'd give me dirty looks, or nobody would talk to me and Brielle the entire day. And that's just not a normal thing to like have as your team dynamic with people. And it was really weird. And we would try to strike up conversation, but people would just reply back with attitude, or we would be excluded from team dinners and conversations. And all of this kind of made the experience to not feel enjoyable anymore. And that's ultimately what led me to step away from the team, because I felt like I can still make a stand and stay strong in my convictions that it's wrong to have a male athlete on the team by talking to media, talking to podcasts like yours. And I don't need to be surrounding myself with people that are going to be taking me down.
Absolutely. And you don't need to surround yourself that people with girls that are going to work towards their own erasure, work towards our erasure. And I think that's important to note that some of these girls were giving you dirty looks, weren't talking to you. Like, that's how indoctrinated our generation is. And for girls on your team to not recognize, and not just on your team, but girls across the state of California, girls across the nation, majority are not okay with this. But for the ones that are, the fact that they don't recognize the harm they're putting themselves in, how they're working to erase the same opportunities they had for their future daughters, for their younger sisters, it's really disheartening to watch that play out. But I'm so proud again of you guys. Like, I can't explain that enough, for taking the stand, for being bold. And so you guys both have officially stepped back now. Madison, what was that like stepping down? Because, this isn't just like a for fun volleyball team. You were playing at the junior college level. You made it to that point. And then you just had to sacrifice the sport you love. How did you get through those times?
I think at most it was all through prayer. Really haven't felt the presence of God as much as I have now. This whole situation has been a total confusing time. And really, I needed guidance. I didn't know where to go from when I found out that there was going to be a male athlete, to my decision to be stepping away, even to be speaking out publicly about it. I knew that it was something I had to do. I felt this like urge that there is people just like me in this situation. And I just really want to give some moral courage for individuals who are having to be put in the same situation. And I just believe this is wrong. I don't feel that anyone should have to be going through what we're going through. And I just think about my younger sisters. Have one in high school who's a freshman and one who's in fifth grade, and they both play volleyball. And I know one of them at least would love to compete in collegiate volleyball. And if this is how it's going to end up 5, 8 years from now, I mean, the opportunities are becoming less and less for women because of allowing male athletes to take those spots on teams. And I decided that I should speak publicly about this. I want to urge other girls to speak up because, I mean, I didn't feel like I had what it takes. I'm not a public speaker at any means, but I knew that God would equip me with the right words and the right wisdom to speak out and give me the strength to really urge individuals to take a stand. And the more that we aren't being complacent, the more that there will be change made and there's hope for our future female athletes.
It makes me think of Esther 4:14, for such a time as this. You guys were both here for such a time as this. But a lot of people, when we talk about that verse, we see the quote or the social media post of you're for such a time as this. We don't talk about the first half of that verse. What really when it's really diving into it, and Esther's being told that if you do not take a stand, there will still be a change. Things will still happen. God will still accomplish his plan, but you and your family will not see through this. You and your family won't go continue on. And I just think really focusing on the fact that God has a plan, like he's won the ultimate battle, but you guys have said, okay, I'm going to step in. I am going to be the person to be here for such a time as this is such a powerful thing. And the locker room, I want to dive into that. It's never okay for there to be a male and a female's locker room. We hear a lot about these males going into the locker room, they have exposed male genitalia, they're changing, things like that. Madison, you stated that he was even changing, that he would just come in and watch you guys. Gracie, did you experience that as well?
Me and Brielle, when we continued to stay on the team, we would come in the locker room from class, rushing to change before practice, and the male athlete would be already in there just socializing, watching out everyone else change, and that was a very uncomfortable feeling. And we weren't the only ones that were feeling that. We had other athletes on the team expressing that they didn't feel comfortable and they would try to go behind the corner so that the male athlete wouldn't see them. And that's just wrong. A locker room is supposed to be a comfortable space for you to change and talk with your teammates. And that's just not the environment that was created for us. And what was really sad is that we expressed that to our athletic director and nothing came of that. There was no change, no nothing. It was, well, we're really sorry you feel that way, and no action was taken.
Once you kind of hit the college level, like I remember when we would, for soccer, we would change in the locker room. It was a lot more comfortable. You know, you're changing your shirt. You normally always have your sports bra on, all these different things. But I remember like being a freshman in high school, and it was even uncomfortable to change in front of the other girls sometimes. Like sometimes you're like, how quickly can I get this shirt off and my next shirt on and all the different things? And, you know, you get a little bit more comfortable the more you do with the other girls, the closer you are to your teammates and things like that. But it can already be uncomfortable enough for some people. So now for there to be a male in there watching you guys, I mean, thank God he wasn't changing, but the fact that he was just standing in there to have conversations and watch people change is beyond disturbing. I don't think it's weird to say that just a few years ago, if that was happening, people would consider it to be like a sexual harassment. And now it's just okay because they claim they're following California state law. And so you guys had to deal with playing with him. Gracie, you had to deal with being spiked in the face. You're dealing with the locker room situation. And then you two, alongside Brielle, you move forward with filing a federal Title IX complaint. What was that tipping point of finally moving forward into legal action, Madison?
Yeah, I feel like the more we were getting backlash from our team, our coach saying that this is what it is, this is what our policy is for our conference, and we're just following what is going on for our league. And we realized this is not right. You should know it's not right. And the fact that they weren't taking any action to even challenge this and say, hey, we need to stand up for our female athletes, even though if this was their policy. And I feel like San Jose State's coach, she was behind her athletes. She was willing to risk what she had to be able to say, no, this is not right. And that bravery is what really counts. And to not have that from our coach and from our school is really disappointing. And so we decided we need to file this complaint in hopes that it will give them another chance to make the right decision and really just open their eyes, because so many people are blinded and confused by this whole gender ideology that's going around, that it came to a point where we needed to make this serious and known to the public and to our conference.
Yeah. And I think, too, on that note, people are listening and maybe they're saying, well, this is what the policy of your school is. And your school might just be saying, we're just following the policy of this area. We're just following the California state law. Because unfortunately, if those listening aren't familiar, California state law does allow this. Since 2013, it's allowed males and girls' restrooms, locker rooms, and sports teams. They've really pushed gender ideology here and the erasure of womanhood. And although you were able to file this federal Title IX complaint, because at the end of the day, we have Title IX that was created to help female sports, to protect female sports. And when people say, well, we're just following California state law, we're just following our policy, they tend to forget that a federal Title IX supersedes California state law. And so they should be doing what Title IX says. And at the end of the day, even if we didn't have Title IX in place, the adults in the room should say, you know what? This California state law, it is harming girls and I'm not going to stand with it. And I think it's okay to push back when something is wrong, not just follow in line. Like you said with the San Jose coach, she really got behind the girls and stood with them. And so the fact that your guys' coach didn't, your athletic director didn't, I think that really shows the reality of what most girls are facing in this situation. So Gracie, where are we at with that Title IX complaint? Have you seen any change? Are we still in the middle of it? Where are we at?
Yeah, we are still in the midst of the complaint. It was filed and the investigation is going to start soon. We also did file a complaint with our school. And at first, they said, with the evidence that we have, we cannot investigate, and this is not a valid case. And we appealed that, and now their investigation will start. I really think that this whole issue of having a male athlete on the team could have been, like you said, solved by the adults in the room. I mean, this is a volleyball team, this is a sports team, and it's very common that there are tryouts or cuts from the team. And this male athlete was just allowed and welcomed onto the team. And that shows that our coach doesn't see anything wrong with the issue and is in support of it.
Especially with collegiate sports, you're recruited, you have to sign a letter of commitment, all these things. And so I think, Madison, you were saying earlier that your coach kind of pushed back on you guys. Well, you don't understand how it's affecting my mental health, whether we're going to play or not, or things like that. Your coach put you in the situation. Your coach could have easily not recruited a male athlete, could have let the male athlete try out and could have just not recruited him. Plenty of girls go try out for plenty of colleges or get scouted by plenty of colleges and never get recruited by those teams. And so this could have been stopped before it even happened, as you said, Gracie. And so now we're kind of in this waiting for things to play out. You guys have stepped off the team. You're speaking out. You're waiting for the Title IX complaint to play out. And so as this is all going on, Madison, do you see yourself returning to volleyball down the line? I mean, a lot of people, when they go play junior college, it's then to maybe go play somewhere else for the last 2 years of school and things like that. Or has this experience kind of changed the course of your athletic future?
Well, I went into going to the JC playing a junior college volleyball in hopes that I would earn some type of scholarship to move on to a 4-year. I mean, I loved playing volleyball. I've expressed that so many times to my coach and to my athletic directors that I didn't want to just stop playing. That wasn't my end goal to end at the JC. But unfortunately, since my season, my sophomore year season at the JC is being stripped away from me, it is going to affect my opportunities to earn scholarships and to continue to play at a 4-year. It's really been heartbreaking for me. It's definitely not been easy. I never thought I'd be put in a situation where I'd have to choose my volleyball career or standing up for what's right. And honestly, it was an easy decision for me to make. I want justice for all these female athletes. And if I'm having to lose something, a little bit of part of my life for the greater good, I think it's worth it.
I think that's the unfortunate spot current female athletes are being put in. It's whatever sport it is, whatever level it is. I mean, we're seeing it happen in junior high and high school at the collegiate level here in California. You girls are really getting put in a time of, do you continue to play on and let this issue grow larger? Or do you say, I'm going to sacrifice my dreams, my athletic career, doing the thing I love to hopefully get it back for future girls? And oh my goodness, it breaks my heart that that's the position you guys are put in. I think, Madison, you made the right choice. Like you said, it might have been very hard to give up volleyball for the time being, but I feel like knowing you did the right thing is what gets you through that, knowing that you're protecting it for your younger sisters, for what's right for all the future girls to come in athletics. And Gracie, you didn't even get to finish a full freshman season. And so what are you thinking down the line? Is this male athlete hopefully going to be out next year and you can maybe return to the team? Do you think that's too far gone? What are you kind of weighing out right now?
Yeah, I mean, and my thoughts are a lot like Madison's, and I feel like God called us to speak out on this issue and we needed to answer. And I think that having to weigh in the decision of should we should we just play, and even though we know it's not right, just play so that we don't have to sacrifice our career, or stand up and make a difference for not just ourselves but for other female athletes now and for future generations. And I think that the decision was a tough decision to make, but I think that it's super important to stay strong in your convictions and faith and not to just do what's easy and comfortable. And I think that it probably would be really hard coming back to the team at the JC because knowing that we weren't supported. But I really did want to expand my volleyball career to a 4 year, possibly get a scholarship, and now not playing my freshman year. I never even had a season. It's going to be really difficult. And of course, I can try to walk on, but I won't get any scholarship opportunities. But luckily, I am a two-sport athlete. I do track, so I still have that. I'm really grateful, and that's kind of been helping me lately. I've been going to practices, and that's been keeping my mind off of not having volleyball anymore. But it definitely was a hard decision to step away from the team.
If every female athlete that was facing a male on their sport, playing against them, whatever the situation was, said no more, we would see this come to an end quicker and faster. But it's also really disturbing that it takes the female athletes having to say no more to make this come to an end. It should have never started. It should have never got to the point of the female athletes having to say something. It should have been changed by the leadership in California, the leadership at these schools, those who are in charge. And Madison, I'm sure you received lots of support since speaking out, but I'm sure there's maybe been some pushback or critics for some people. And some of these people might say, oh, well, your stance is exclusive. It's exclusive to these quote unquote trans women. So these men, but that's the wording they're going to use. And how would you respond to that? How would you say, no, that's not the case?
I mean, a lot of the people that have been having these comments about me speaking out against men on women's teams, really, a lot of them haven't even played a sport. And so that having to say something in an area that you have no experience in really doesn't say much to me. So when I'm getting so much tremendous feedback and support from friends, family, people on social media, that means more and outweighs all the negative comments that people have said. And I just know that they're also just as lost and confused as the male athlete wanting to be on a women's team. If they're thinking this is okay and that this is being inclusive, well, really, it's not. You're excluding the female athletes, which Title IX was supposed to protect and really give equal opportunity. And by allowing male athletes on women's teams, that just takes away all of that we worked so hard for. And it was passed in 1972, but it really didn't be enforced in all three branches of government until 1988. 30 some odd years, this has really been pretty new. And we're now going to be taking that away because we want to be inclusive. It's not inclusive, it's exclusive. And so I think they're just confused. And I'm hoping that the God will speak to them and really show them the truth.
Yeah, we live in a time of moral confusion for those that think this is okay. They've fallen under the spell and are worshiping the idols of trans ideology. And that's why they're able to somehow convince themselves it's okay for girls to be put in this situation. Unfortunately, it's happening across the nation, but especially here in California, across all levels. And it's kind of interesting. We keep seeing it happen in volleyball. We're seeing it happen at the high school level in volleyball. We're seeing it happen at the junior college level. We're seeing it all the way up to the Division 1 level. We watched that play out last year. So, Gracie, what is your advice to girls that are maybe listening to this, watching this, and they might face this in the upcoming years, or they're facing it right now and they're not sure how to go about it?
I would say that trust your instinct and trust what you know is right. It's not right to have male athletes in women's sports, and by not doing anything is not going to change anything for future generations. And down the line, more and more male athletes are going to be in female sports, and that's going to make less and less opportunities for the females. And that's like what Madison said is what females have fought over the years so hard to have. And I really think that they need to be bold and speak the truth and spread awareness of the issue, because the more people that do that, the more people are not going to be okay with having male athletes in female sports. Less male athletes will be in female sports because more people are going to think it's wrong. And I think in California, it's really hard for people to do that because so many people like to spin it as, oh, this is just a political stance, when really this is not a political stance. This should just be common sense that male athletes shouldn't be in female sports. It's not lefts think this way or Republicans think this way. It should be everyone should see that a male athlete has physical advantages that are going to make them more powerful and faster no matter what sport you're playing. And that if you stand up for this issue, hopefully there will not be male athletes in female sports anymore.
Absolutely. I can't wait to tell my future daughters one day the injustice of what happened and how hard female athletes work to fix it, to change it, and why they now have safe and protected female sports again because of the work that's being done now. And that's why girls should be speaking up and standing up. And Madison, what advice or final words do you want to leave to the girls of California and the girls across the nation that are facing this?
I would say that even if something you know is wrong and might not be easy to speak up against, do it anyways. There's so much more support that you're going to get from doing that and open up so many opportunities for them. I just feel the more we have courageous, brave women, I mean, I hate to say that it's really people are brave now to say that male and females are different, but it's come to that. And I just feel like if they are seeing that more people are speaking out, that they will be given the strength and God will give them the wisdom and courage to speak out with us. And I mean, I just hope that all the girls can feel empowered, that their voices matter, and that what they have to say and the rights that they should be guaranteed with from Title IX should be upheld.
Well, Madison and Gracie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Thank you for, like you said, being bold and brave, even though it shouldn't be bold and brave to say males and females are different and what's happening is unjust and unfair. But thank you for taking the stand, for standing up for female athletes, for standing up for yourself, and for speaking out and doing what's right. I mean, I'm so grateful for what you guys are doing. I know there's people across the nation that are so grateful for what you guys are doing. But thank you guys for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having us and hearing our stories.
Yes, it was great to be speaking with you.